Um, There we go.
There we go. We're
Welcome
good
to
go.
Facebook Live. I'm jamming my whiteboard in my cheek like Gretchen Wegner does. Do you know Gretchen?
I don't.
Really? Okay.
Wow.
Really? She's awesome. She's my study tip guru who does study tips for outside the box kids. She's on the
Oh,
summit and she's neat. You'd like her. This is Dayna Abraham, everybody.
hello, everyone.
We're going to talk about back to school stress. Oh, it did
Oh,
not
B2S stress.
B2S stress, and it didn't really
Stress.
populate the comments, the title, how it was supposed to. Anywho, well, hello, Kristen Cat Sweeney. Hi, Dayna.
Hello.
So she said, I watched your talks already and loved every minute.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to pull
So,
it up on my phone too so I can see the comments. Are you okay with that?
of course.
Take a minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into the group because I am in the group. So definitely, if you guys have seen my talk, please, please, please tag me. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't, what you need. There we go. All right, let me make sure it's muted.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit, Dayna, about, and I have it in front of me too, so that I can see. Kat says, please. Kathy says, hi, I'm watching the homework session. I popped out for the live. Cool. All right. Well, let's get to it. Cool.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about a couple of things. We are going to talk about back to school stress, not just for kids, but back to school stress for the parents as well. So how to handle the back to school stress for the parents and the kids, school refusal and anxiety. School refusal is huge right now. Anxiety is huge right now. These are huge topics. So Dayna Abraham, as far as, can we start with the let's start with the back to school stress for parents. Yes. What kinds of stress are parents experiencing with back to school and what can they do about it?
So with back to school, I think we think a lot about you're here because your kids struggle with organization, task management, with getting started with things, with time management. But if our kids struggle with executive functioning skills, there might be some of ourselves who struggle with that as well. And so when our overwhelm and stress goes up, our executive functioning skills go down. And so the way that we can get through a lot of chaos is to really work on relieving as much of that stress as possible. Now, it'd be great if we could all just like go and, take bubble baths or go for a swim and, have a relaxing afternoon in the park. But when we're going back to school, that is not really, it doesn't feel possible because we've got our own work schedules that are probably changing. A lot of times our home routines are changing. We're trying to get our kids back onto a morning routine or a bedtime routine. We're trying to figure out meals now when during the summer it might have been a free for all for meals, and now we're dealing with new teachers, we're dealing with the schools, the stress of school, and your work schedule, right, might be changing and everything. So one of the things that I talk about in my new book, Calm the Chaos, is a stage that we all go through when managing a lot of stress, and we try to skip it as parents. And I've worked with tens of thousands of parents, and I'll tell you, all over the world, and they all try to skip this, and they come back months later and they go, all right, fine, Dayna, I'll try it. But they tell me they don't need it. And it's the time and energy reserve plan, and it's a 5-minute plan. And the most important thing on there is something for your own head, to get out of the stress, to get all of the gunk out of your head. And what do I mean by gunk? Gunk is two things. One, it is the intrusive thoughts, the worries, the fears, the spiraling thoughts that might be in your head and that are kind of keeping you frozen, or they're keeping you up at night and you're not getting good sleep, or they're making you a little more edgy. And so you're like, hurry up, let's go. So that's just those thoughts. But there's also the stress in our head of all the to-dos, right? That long list that's a mile long of all the things that we've got to get to, the doctors we've got to call, the appointments we've got to set, the teachers we've got to meet, the school supplies we've got to grab. Like, we have all that. And most of us parents hold all that in our heads. And sometimes we'll make a to-do list, but we make a to-do list that's so incredibly long. So this is what we call the shift and prioritize part of the 5-minute energy plan. So if you can take literally just 1 minute each day and you can do something for your own thoughts, and you can do something for your own like outside clutter that's in your head, then you will be able to make so much more progress with your kids. You'll be able to stay calmer. And it's not going to be butterflies and rainbows overnight, but it's at least going to give you some sort of relief to the stress you've got. So the shift piece that I want you to think about is just taking 1 minute, if you take 30 seconds, and just do something for your own mind. This can be just a pause and deep breaths. Like, how much better does it feel just to do that right now while we're on here? Like, just everybody take a deep breath again. But how often do we do that? We usually get up, our feet hit the ground, we run, we brush our teeth, we throw on our clothes, we go downstairs, and it's just go, go, go. And we don't take a minute to just breathe. So you can breathe, you can have some silence, you can swap a thought. So if you're like, oh my God, today's going to be so hard, you could swap that with, all right, I have a lot going on today, so I need to be mindful, right? So just reminding yourself, today's going to be a busy day instead of today is going to be a hard day. Or today's just one day, I can get through it. This won't last forever. The beginning of school doesn't last forever. So I can get through this because it's a short amount of time. Whatever you need to remind your brain that you're safe. So that's the shift part. And then the second part of the part for your own brain is doing a brain dump, is setting a timer for just a minute and letting everything come out of your head onto a piece of paper. I liken this to like cleaning out the junk drawer. If you go to try to find something in the junk drawer, it might take you like an hour to find it. But if you want to clean it, you actually have to dump everything out on the counter to see what you're working with. And then you can throw away all the trash and you can work with the things that are most important that you really want to keep in that drawer. And so think of it like that. It's not your to-do list. It's just a dump to get it out of your head, because when it's in your head, it gets bigger, it swells up, it starts getting like all these extra steps. It starts, the worry takes over. And so when you can have it right down in front of you on a piece of paper, you can decide what to do with it now. You can throw it away. You can pass it over to somebody else that can help you with it, or you can choose just one thing that you're going to do off that list that's going to make you feel like today was a good day.
Awesome. Thank you. I always take notes when people talk, and I was going to ask you a follow-up question for more details, but I think you gave like a really well-rounded, plenty of examples, plenty of things to really get started on that. So having said that, there are a couple of questions. I'll look at them in a minute. You probably see them too, but I was gonna go ahead.
I don't have them up on my screen, so I can't see. I need to put them over on my screen so I can see them.
So let's talk real quick, because it's such a big topic about the school refusal.
Yes. So first of all, I want to normalize it, because the school's going to make you feel like your kid is the only one that's refusing to go to school, or that's late to school, or who's being asked to get picked up from school. And I want you to know that you're not the only one. There was actually a study that was done recently, and it was just posted, I think, in the Washington Post, about how school attendance is down 15% around the United States. And it's worse in areas where they don't have support, and it's worse in, low income areas, or in areas that they just don't have the means to help them. So if the parents can't work, then the kids don't go to school, or if the parents are stressed out, then it's hard for the kids to feel centered. And then if you think, I was talking about this with a friend of mine, a lot of our kids that struggle with EF, executive functioning things, also have really big emotions, and they're really empathetic, and they feel other people's emotions, but they aren't quite aware yet of if it's their emotions or someone else's emotions. And so when other people are stressed out, they then become stressed out. And so if you think about the state of our teachers right now, if you're a teacher right now, thank you. Oh my gosh, my heart goes out to you. You guys are doing so much right now and dealing with so much right now. And without even meaning to, it might come across to your children, right? And so those of you who have children who are refusing school, they might be feeling the stress from the teacher. They might be feeling the grogginess in their voice. They might be noticing their tight shoulders, their tight jaws. They might be noticing their tired eyes, and then being like, oh, well, if they're stressed, that must mean that I need to be stressed. And they're not cognitively thinking this, right? They're not consciously saying those things, but they might be perceiving danger. They might be perceiving that stress, which means that their body is going to react to that stress response or to that stress input. And so I want to normalize it. That's the first thing I want you to do, is that this is really common. And if you think about it, all of our children just came out of a very long, enduring process through COVID. And yes, it's been a couple of years since it's officially happened. However, our children are still trying to navigate the stress responses, and they're still trying to navigate how to handle going back into a school setting and dealing with all these emotions and dealing with a full day of school. And just to normalize it even more, all year last year, I struggled with this with my daughter. My daughter loves learning. She loves school. She loves the idea of school, and she loves friends. And anytime I'd go to a parent-teacher conference, she's the one where the teachers are like, Flora is amazing. Like, she is just such the ideal student. If we could just get her to come to school, right? Because she really struggled to go to school last year. And it wasn't that she didn't want to go, it was that she couldn't go. So if you can make that shift in your head, and you can remember that your kid is not refusing school because they don't want to go. They're refusing school because they can't go. There is literally something going on in their body that makes them feel unsafe, that is making it hard for them. And it could be the loud noises. It could be the overwhelm of all the different steps and all the transitions and all the new people and all the changes. And it could just be that they're feeling all the emotions. And it may not be that they're in an unsafe environment that you would call unsafe, but they're perceiving that it's not safe. And so that when we change our perception to it, then we can have more empathy and we can actually work through it and be able to come up with strategies on the other side.
Thank you, Dayna. And we'll look at the comments in a second here. And thanks everybody for being here. If you do like what we're doing, please share the summit with people. There's a link above. Even if you're already registered, just take the link and share it out somewhere today. It would really mean a lot to us if we end tomorrow. People join all the way up until the end tomorrow.
Guys,
so
this is my I'm going to give a plug for your summit, Seth, because I think you do one of the, and for other summit leaders here, this isn't against you, but I think this summit is one of the best summits in the world. I look forward to it every single year. And you do such a great job of combining not just the knowledge and the information, but you also do such a great job of making sure that it's as digestible as possible. I've seen a lot in the group about I'm overwhelmed, I wish I could save this. And I would encourage you guys to get the lifetime access pass, because don't force more stress on yourself, right? Everything that's here is so valuable from all the speakers, from all the experts. And you want to have as much time as possible to go back to these things and use them when you need them, instead of trying to force feed all this information into your head and then you're going to forget it later. So I just want to give you permission to for this to be your professional development for parenting this year, if you have to.
I like that frame, actually. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. It's a resource, and I'm so happy with it this year. It's just, the platform is so good. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go through the comments real quick, and if there's a quick response. Seth Tifo says, my favorite summer, says Stacy. He does an amazing job every year and has the most amazing speakers. Thank you. We put so much heart into this. Kelly, this is my third summit, and I have shared it to key funders and educators here in Canada. Awesome. Thank you. The last 2 years have been so rough for me. It's a lot, says Stacy. And that's what we talked about, Dayna and I, before this, is that what did you say? Parents are wondering if this year is going to repeat the patterns. Is that what you started with before?
100%.
We did.
Yeah, we were talking about how the stress and the worry and the fear comes up before you even start the year, because you start worrying about, am I just going to repeat the same year we just had?
And are they?
I don't think they have to. I think we are told and we believe sometimes that we have to, and especially if we do everything exactly the same way we did last year, then we might repeat it. But if we do things differently, and sometimes that differently does not mean throwing everything out. And that's one of the things that I've seen as I work with parents. I really want to empower parents, just like Seth does, and a lot of the speakers here, to be able to be their own expert in their child. And when you become the expert in your child, then your child becomes the expert in themselves, and they can advocate for themselves. You can advocate for them, and things start to change then. But one of the things I've seen when parents try to do that is that they'll try something for a short amount of time, or they'll look for this magic button, like, oh, Dayna said do this one thing, and they assume that it's going to change their life when they do this one thing. But we are parenting humans. You're a human parenting another human, and we're not dealing with robots. We're not dealing with something that comes out of a package that has an instruction manual. And so because it's so unique and there's no one size fits all, there's going to be iterations and changes to the plans. And so when you go to the school the first day, when you go to school the first week and it doesn't work out, and you see patterns from last year, use that as information to say, okay, I'm seeing some of the same patterns from last year, and I know what worked and I know what didn't work last year. So what are some small things that we can adjust or change this year so that we can just make it slightly better? I think of a lot, I like to call it or liken it to getting braces. When you go to the orthodontist, you don't come back out the next day with like beautiful pearly whites that are straight and narrow. Instead, you have to go back sometimes for years, and it's super painful every time you go back and get it tweaked and get it changed. And our plans with our kids, our plans at school, our plans with building skills, all of those are tiny tweaks. Instead of saying, well, that didn't work, let's throw it all out and let's start from scratch, that's exhausting. Instead, look at the plan, do a kind of a post-mortem debrief on what happened, and say, all right, that didn't go well. So what can we do differently? What worked? We're going to do more of what works and less of what doesn't. And so the next time we go back and we just tweak that one thing that didn't work.
Thanks, Dayna. There's like 20 comments, but I'm keep clicking refresh and it's not showing them, but we're up to almost half past the hour anyway. So let's wrap up here. Thanks, Dayna. Check out the link. Again, if you're not registered, you can register. You still have a day. I extended the time until 3 p.m. tomorrow rather than noon Pacific. So you have more time to keep diving into all the speakers. Please share that link. That is how people find us. People, please share the link so that people can find the summit, just whatever groups you like and what have you. And then, yeah, check out the All Access Pass. It really, I mean, I hate quote selling, but it's phenomenal.
It's a service. You're not selling them like a new car. You're giving them a service,
well,
right?
if I was selling a car, I would only sell it if I believed in it anyway. So
Right,
I believe in
right.
this.
So absolutely. Yeah, definitely, guys. You've got to get this as a resource. Don't put more stress on yourself. Like think, but how can I make this work so that I can get the all access pass, so that I can keep this as a resource for the entire year, instead of just how do I soak it all in like 12 hours or in 24 hours, and then it's all gone for the next year. You want this when you go to parent teacher conferences in October. You want this when it gets to the end of the semester and you're going into winter break. You want this in the spring when your kids are, yeah. And you want it when you're like, I just had a kid graduate and we literally had to like blow them over the finish line, like all the way over. And you want these resources even when that's happening. So don't wait to grab the all access. Go ahead and just give yourself permission right now and say, this is a gift to myself. And it's, count it as your school supplies for the year.
Done. Thanks, Dayna. Thanks
welcome.
everyone for being here. Have a fantastic day. It was good seeing you, Dayna.
You too.
Take care, everybody.